Yeah, just as a follow-up. Yeah, I was trying to describe what's going to be taking place with some of my archived doodles and drawings and stuff. Basically, I showed you the Silver Surfer picture here, but the idea here is to make the amendments through photocopies and stuff, reducing it to a black and white, reducing it the density, knocking off the ears, and then reworking the drawing. When it's a light black and white, reworking it with inks again, reestablishing the original form, just simply because I like it enough to preserve it. But I got into the idea that a lot of these sketches and drawings and stuff had accumulated between 2001 and about 2008, the bulk of them. And in fact, if you look on the other side of the paper themselves, I don't know if you can make that out. But yeah, you can. Yeah, you can see the. Hold on a second. You can see the what this paper was basically computer paper from the programs that were run. Each job was accommodated by a program, and that was the hard copy of the program. I mean, that's only a half of the sheet. I mean, but the stuff just stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of it. Most of it just went into recycling when the jobs were done and new programs were made up. But what they would do ever so often is cut the stuff in half, put it in a stack, run a staple through it, and then just throw it on the guys' work tables, right, for working out calculations, etc., making notes, whatever, brainstorming drawings, whatever was, whatever someone might need a scribble pad for. I used it for drawing a lot of the time, I really did. And of course the other things. But yeah, I just wanted to point out, the point wasn't to display this work in its original state as much as it is to show a process in up-and-coming videos where I take a look at this and I look at things where I'd like to make amendments and change things. As I said, the ears and stuff. There's whiteout that you can see even in the photocopies that I had made, and just walk you through the process and coming up with a black and white prototype of this image that's ready for reproduction, ready for the coloring process, etc., etc., etc. Basically reducing it to black and white line art. Because, as I said, most of this stuff is ballpoint pen, as you can see. It's just, whatever, right? And there's quite a bit of it going on, unquestionably. I don't know if you can see that, but up here, yeah, sure. Up here in the corner, we got Daredevil and Punisher going at it. Rooftop. Again, just rough sketches, no references, so a lot of things go wrong in the drawings when you're not, referencing or thinking. It depends on what level you're at, I guess, but, while you're still developing, which I certainly still was and still am, things can go terribly wrong. Like, just as an example, I could point to this and say, yeah, this is correct as far as the foreshortening goes and stuff, but the anatomy has suffered in this area, right here in this thigh, and I could change that, white that out, restructure it, reshade it, maybe even some of it could be darkened out to shade away things and stuff. I might look at it and say, generally, it's pretty good, and that's probably why I held on to it, but changes could be made. But that's what this, my new focus is going to be, making amendments to these drawings, not for the drawing's sake themselves, but to see, to actually go through the process, to take the time with them, to reached the point that was worth obtaining as oh God, my vocabulary, the words escape me. To reach as an intended as intended, what was intended by the drawing before it went wrong or whatever, before it was discarded for another scribbling or another doodle or whatever. Sometimes they worked out fine. I mean, I have several of those which I'll show, and even those though, I can pick over work and say, I'd like to change this a bit. I wasn't quite happy with that, but overall this is a nice picture. Blah 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 blah. Some of the pinup stuff was a lot of fun, and a lot of it I look at and I think, wow, you used no reference. You didn't really know anatomy, but you just poured that on from memory. It's pretty good. Not light boxed or traced or anything like that. My development, I was, I've been self-taught, and I went the hard route, not knowing about. Anyway, that's something for another video altogether. But yeah, that's what the process is going to be. But as I say, like, most of this work is done on the back of, paper that was found around the machine shop at the time. Mostly computer printout paper, but not all. Some of it from newsletters or whatever you want to call it, notification, or, whatever was passed along the shop, pamphlets, brochures, whatever was happening, that sort of thing. Doodle, doodle, doodle on the backs of those during the night shift and the afternoon shift in the machine shop. I don't know, managed to hold that job down for a little over 10 years. Yeah. And the work that was accumulated was just incredible, the amount of drawings that went on. 2005, though, I would have to say, I mentioned 2005 in the last video, but that was a period where things just exploded. Ideas shooting off in all directions. Following year 2006, too, I mean, it just carried on from there. Things got intense. The turmoil, the things that were going on in my life at that time, the pressures, intense. I can't even share the stories. They're too controversial and personal, in the sense that anonymity would go out the window. I'll put it that way. There's too many people involved. But at the same time, the work accumulated. It stacked up, and it will be those archives I'll be going through at the time, with a bit of background information going on there, a little bit of mentioning what was happening. Try and keep it to the stuff that's not too extreme, and just more concentrate on the work. So that's what's up and coming, and that's going to be my focus there in many areas. That and possibly killing my neighbor's dogs. Fucking things. Anyway, whatever. I don't know. I don't really mean that, in case anyone's wondering. But boy, oh boy, that would, mouthy little critters. Just some breeds are just stupid. They shouldn't exist. There are man-made breeds, mouthy little temperamental dumbasses. Should be banned in apartments. No, they're okay. It's all good. Anyway, that's basically what's up and coming, though. Taking a look through the archives and going through amendments, and there's enough stuff in there, folks, that will keep me busy for years. But there are other things going on too that are not to do with amending the archives. But the channel is going to be taking a shift. I mean, sure, I'm going to share readings and stuff that I might be looking into at the time and stuff. But I don't know. I want to steer away from the politics a bit. I've taken a look at things over the last few years, and I've come to some understandings. And quite frankly, I think people are just debating and looking at the wrong things. There are certain things we can't not deny are taking place that we disagree on left and right, but what's behind those debates and those distractions, not to say that they're not important, is something that I've come to the conclusion that people just will not face. They will not face. They won't face it, and no elected officials will really look at it for what it is. You know, they'll have you eating bugs before they actually tell, you know, people to, I don't know, consider this real problem. They'll never do it because it's not popular. It's not popular, but it's, without telling you exactly what it is. You know, I've talked about it in the comments section a lot, but I'll put it this way: it has the word exponential attached to it, and that's the real problem, folks, which is leading to all the major problems concerning immigration issues, or the vaccine issue, or political correctness issues, and new attitudes towards gender and protons pronouns, and environmental issues, the pressures there, what we should be, all of it. All of these things are just going to be become worse and worse. There's going to be more pressure added towards these things, but they're not telling you why. They have you distracted. They want to keep a balance. They want to keep things 50-50, left and right, which means give or take 10%. If they can keep in that zone, they're happy. Because you can never go 50-50% on these issues. You can't. But the idea is to keep people in the debate, struggling with one another, not as an evil thing, but to keep you distracted away from the thing they do not feel that you can really deal with, and they cannot deal with, and the planet cannot deal with, and people in general cannot deal with, and no elected official wants to deal with. Anyway, see, I'm doing it again. I want to get away from that stuff. But, yeah, there are certain things, certain currents that are beyond our control, and I honestly do not believe that any of the upcoming elections are going to be able to deal with these major problems. They are not. They are not. They're going to have you distracted away and perhaps chip away at some of the lesser problems that are more attached to individuals' egos than to participants in remedying the actual cataclysmic problems that mankind is facing, which is mankind itself in its numbers. I think you understand where I'm going with there, and I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, there's a lot of issues you can tackle, and they can drive you crazy trying to solve them and stuff. And I'm certainly crazy enough. I don't need extra pressure in that direction. So, you say how you feel and let it go. But I'm seeing something else. You know, it's just not going to do any good. You can make sense all you like, but if people are distracted away from things, then what can you do? Let them march in the street. Let them march left and then right. Parting on the left is now parting on the right. Don't get sucked into it, though. Just don't do it. Don't do it. It may sound selfish, but, you know, consider doing some things for yourself and remind yourself what's important to yourself. And anyway, I'm not going to make speeches. It's just a lot of the shit that's going on isn't worth saying. But I still believe that when they're trying to cover up certain things, it should be shouted. Like, I'm not that far gone. It's just, I don't think people are facing the actual problem. But enough of that. This is going to be a new direction, and we're going to conquer these archives. And I'm going to be hitting up other projects concerning the Marvel Universe, as I mentioned, and having a lot of fun there. There'll be a lot of tribute stuff towards the artists and writers that were involved in the last, 5, even 6 decades past. So, looking forward to it.